केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
The Prime Minister, in fact, talking about a very, very important aspect as far as the proceedings of the special session of Parliament is concerned. He has chosen to target Congress and opposition political parties, including parties such as DMK and TMC, saying that it is an anti-reform mindset that is reflected in what has been stated there by the parties on the floor of the House, saying that this was a historic opportunity, and in the past as well, the country has lost out, while other countries from the time of independence have progressed, and by leaps and bounds. India has lost out due to the lack of reforms, and this is one such situation where the altar of political expediency, a very important reform, has been stalled. So the Prime Minister, in fact, attacking these political parties, but at the same time saying that there will be other opportunities. This does not mean that we will stop here, but we will continue to fight on this entire issue. Let's listen to some of the key reactions of the Prime Minister coming in.
नारी शक्ति वंदन संशोधन का जिन दलों ने विरोध किया है, उनसे मैं दो टूक कहूंगा। ये लोग नारी शक्ति को फॉर ग्रांटेड ले रहे हैं। वो ये भूल रहे हैं कि 21वीं सदी की नारी देश की हर घटना पर नजर रख रही है। वो उनकी मंशा भांप रही है और सच्चाई भी भली भांति जान चुकी है। इसलिए महिला आरक्षण विरोध करके जो पाप विपक्ष ने किया है, इसकी उन्हें सजा जरूर मिलेगी। मुझे भी ये देखकर बहुत दुख हुआ कि जब ये नारी हित का प्रस्ताव गिरा तो कांग्रेस, डीएमके, टीएमसी, सपा जैसी परिवारवादी पार्टियां खुशी से तालियां बजा रही थी। महिलाओं से उनके अधिकार छीनकर ये लोग मेजें थपथपा रहे थे। उन्होंने जो किया वो केवल टेबल पर थाप नहीं थी, वो नारी के स्वाभिमान पर, उसके आत्मसम्मान पर चोट थी। और नारी सब भूल जाती है, अपना अपमान कभी नहीं भूलती। साथियों, हमारे लिए देश हित सर्वोपरि है, लेकिन जब कुछ लोगों के लिए दल हित सब कुछ हो जाता है, दल हित देश हित से बड़ा हो जाता है, तो नारी शक्ति को, देश हित को इसका खामियाजा उठाना पड़ता है। इस बार भी यही हुआ है। कांग्रेस, डीएमके, टीएमसी और समाजवादी पार्टी जैसे दलों की स्वार्थी राजनीति का नुकसान देश की नारी शक्ति को उठाना पड़ा है।
Let me get a quick word with my colleague Pragya. Pragya, the Prime Minister there attacking opposition parties, particularly the Congress party. He's called it a party that's against important reforms, but has also said it is also a party that does not think about the interests of regional parties, and they stand to lose the maximum if this is not implemented on ground, saying that our commitment towards women and the reservation will continue.
Absolutely, a lot has been analysed by Prime Minister about the politics of the opposition, and that, especially that of the Congress, Madhav, that Congress piggyback on the regional parties, and it is also bringing them down along with its weight. And this is exactly what has happened in women reservation. The brunt of it will be faced by these regional parties as well. Remember when there were negotiations, in fact, Samajwadi Party and other parties, TMC, in fact, also, as Joseph told us, they agreed to the women reservation in its form, which was present to the parliament. But later on, Congress, told them not to go with the BJP, and it was all about the credit war. Prime Minister has said, many things about Congress right now, but what important thing he has said about it is that women do not take their insult lightly, and they do not, and you should not take women, for granted. This is a warning and a threat from the Prime Minister to all these political parties who stood against women reservation. This has been recorded in history, Madhav, and Prime Minister is emphasizing that Congress is a party that is known for standing against any sort of reform in the country, and that has harmed the national, the development and progress of the country over the years. This time, Prime Minister has also made an appeal that there is, whenever you see Congress people, whenever you see opposition leaders, you should remember what they did to you, your participation in the decision making. And also, Prime Minister made a very important point that they may be heartbroken, but their intent is clear. They will remove all sort of roadblocks when it comes to women reservation. And Prime Minister has also spoken about the intent of the government to make it a reality in coming days. So this is a promise that Prime Minister has made to the women of the country, Mother.
All right, Pragya, thanks so much for joining us with a quick update. Let's quickly open this up and take it across to our guest. Joining us with us now is Sanju Verma, national spokesperson of BJP. Tushar Gupta, political analyst, is with us. Nikhil Jain, political analyst, also joins us. We have Advocate Vandana Sinha, spokesperson of Aam Aadmi Party, with us here in the studio. Also with us is Tariq Khan, national spokesperson of Samajwadi Party. Rashid Kidwai, senior journalist, joining us, and Shubhankar Bhattacharya, political analyst, also joins us on the show. But let me start with you first. Mr. Tariq Khan, you would have heard what the Prime Minister said, particularly what he said for Samajwadi Party. He made a very pointed reference. He said this was a chance for the Samajwadi Party to shake off its image as being a party that is against the interests of women. I don't want to go into the past where several statements have been made by your leaders. And he has said, made this pointed reference to Samajwadi Party. Your response?
I am happy that Prime Minister has not given any type of task like mobile torch light and all this. So I am happy about that. Other thing what PM has said is just they have, he has abused political parties whom he has been saying that Akhilesh is my friend. First of all the time, you see, he has taken names of parties. Samajwadi Party means maximum time will be spent in taking parties. I have never seen a PM doing this type of press conference or whatever he's doing. So, and another point that I would like to raise is that कि जो है इन्होंने सिर्फ जो टास्क लोगों को दे रहे हैं कि ये ऐसा करना चाहिए.
टास्क क्या दिया आज?
नहीं, आज टास्क नहीं दिया, इसी पे मैं खुश हूं. नहीं, one more point, I have just lost that point. He is saying that political parties को झेलना पड़ेगा. We are going to have 2 states election, 2 state elections ahead. हम लोग देख लेंगे कि कितना वहां पे भारतीय जनता पार्टी को फायदा होता है, and other party will going to have make losses.
Okay, you're saying this is aimed purely at elections.
What PM has just said that other party will face, people will not vote for them. So we have to wait. We just have a two states election. We'll see that how BJP will perform and how other parties will perform.
Okay, Sanju Verma, will the public anger actually reflect in the votes that are cast in these states? That's a question being raised here by the Samajwadi Party spokesperson. Respond to him.
First and foremost, I don't think Prime Minister Narendra Modi used any abusive term. Prime Minister Modi called out the bluff fair and square of the Congress Party, of the Samajwadi Party, and of the opposition at large, which has been always talking about women empowerment for the longest time. But when there was a concrete chance to create history, they decided to skip that historic moment because they were consumed by hubris, consumed by their personal egos, consumed by their visceral hatred for Narendra Modi. Let women's cause be damned. That was the agenda and the mala fide intent of the opposition from the very start. Second point which I want to make, very importantly, is this, which the PM reinforced in no uncertain terms. You look at any proposal, some have thankfully become laws. The CAA got notified, UCC made a law in Gujarat. UCC was made a law in Uttarakhand. Thank God, after a 500-year old civilizational war, the Ram Mandir was brought to fruition despite the Congress's lack of support on that count. And don't forget that each time the BJP has spoken of one nation, one election, who's taking up cudgels against the BJP? It is the Congress party. And then you will see Congress pravaktas sitting on primetime television debates and say, oh, Modi ji ne to ye special session isliye bulwaya tha क्योंकि तमिलनाडु और बंगाल के चुनाव पर आंख रखकर इनको पॉलिटिकल फायदा चाहिए था। अरे मोदी जी ने तो सीए इसीलिए लागू किया क्योंकि वो परसिक्यूटेड माइनॉरिटीज जो हैं, सिख कम्युनिटीज, जैन, उनका वोट चाहते थे। अरे भैया, every 3 months there is some or the other election in India. There is a local body election, there's a panchayat election, there are assembly elections. Today we have, had in 2026 elections in 5 states.
So you're saying it's just a coincidence that this is happening when Tamil Nadu and Bengal are all set to cast the vote. Let me put that question across to Shubhankar Bhattacharya. Shubhankar Bhattacharya, at any point of time there's an election, says a BJP spokesperson. Why are you reading so much politically into the developments that have taken place in Parliament?
Well, Madhav, let me begin it with, we have stepped into the Bengali New Year, so we call it Shubho Novo Varsho to all. And let's see what the Novo Varsho actually holds for us. At the very same time, see, now the thing is that it is now very well exposed that the idea behind bringing in this, women reservation was just to create a nationwide rhetoric, a nationwide narrative that the opposition are against the women. So that was the whole idea behind it. There was no sincere actual try even to, bring it actually. Because if they wanted it, so they could have easily agreed to the already, the amendment they brought in 2023 when every opposition party were actually standing together on it. So they could brought in the very same numbers available rather than, getting into this drama of delimitation. So this was all very well, planned, and it was just planned to to showcase that the opposition parties are against the women and how wonderfully it works between the elections. See, Bengal elections are already there. A fresh, and of course, with the Bengal elections, they have very well noted that the women participation in the voting has been greater than the male votes over there. So they came out with this wonderful idea. So this is a wonderful thing we can do with the numbers over here.
Okay, you say that it's aimed at the voters, the women voters, particularly of West Bengal. But let me quickly bring out one bit of information coming in. This is Derek O'Brien, who has actually put out a social media post. He says PM's Bharat Sandesh trigger, and he has called this, of course, Dramebazi. He has cited delimitation decoy, saying that government can still implement quota. Narendra's worst form of insulting women is to have used them as a decoy to try and pass a delimitation bill, a thing or a person that's used to trick someone into doing what you want them to do. That's the exact post that you see from Derek O'Brien. Let me quickly bring in Tushar Gupta on that. Tushar Gupta, is this nothing but a decoy? At the end of the day, the opposition saying this was a way to bring in the delimitation bill using women's reservation as a decoy.
Good evening, Madhav. Madhav, the opposition parties, hungry in their greed to claim credit for passing the 106th Amendment in 2023, did they not read that amendment carefully? That amendment clearly said that Article 334 will be amended to insert the delimitation clause post the census of 2023. Now the government, through the 131st Amendment, was saying, let's go for the 2011 census. But the question of delimitation was never in contention. So either the opposition parties claimed the credit for a bill they voted in favor of, but they did not read. Number two, the Prime Minister spoke about regional parties. TMC hai, I see Samajwadi Party here, and the Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson. Let's be very honest. When the elections happen, for all the sweet talk of the alliance, none of them are eager to give Congress enough number of seats to fight on in state elections. Congress, at the end of the day, is a party that is taking down its regional partners. We saw it in Bihar, we saw it in Maharashtra. Even the DMK was hesitant in giving Congress enough number of seats. So why would the regional parties actually miss out on an opportunity to send more MPs to the parliament is beyond me. If there were 120 seats in Uttar Pradesh or 59 in Tamil Nadu or 20 in Punjab, the regional parties would have been able to send more MPs to the parliament. Tariq Khan is sitting here, 120 seats in UP. You could have had 40 MPs of Akhilesh Yadav's party in the parliament. But somehow all these regional parties fell into the trap laid by the Congress and ended up scoring a self-poll. Number three, the emotional appeal made by the Prime Minister, it's for the women of this country, the 50% of this electorate. Nikhil Jain might want to take up his, utensils and try to mock this entire emotional appeal, but the voters are going to mock them in the next few elections when Rahul Gandhi's 95 defeats become 100 consistent defeats in the last 20 years. The Congress is nowhere in play, and it is absolute foolishness on the part of the regional parties to have missed an opportunity to increase their representation in the Lok Sabha.
Since you posed that question to Nikhil, let's bring in Nikhil Jain. Nikhil Jain, I think 2 or 3 important points that Tushar has raised, which the Prime Minister also has referred to. One, it is the Congress party that's leading these regional parties up the garden path in its own, desire to oppose the central government. That's point number one. And point number two, the larger question is that, if there was a way to deal with the situation, a situation that Rahul Gandhi is raising concern for southern states, so on and so forth, in terms of proportional representation, that path was open with this legislation. Answer those 2 questions.
So, Madhav, first of all, I don't really want to comment on the propriety of the Prime Minister of India giving an address to the nation, which was essentially a political speech. I really don't, I have actually come to expect nothing better of this Prime Minister. And also, Sanju Verma, the BJP spokesperson, says that the Prime Minister did not use an abusive word. Let me remind her that the Prime Minister called the principal opposition party of this country as Parjeevi, parasite. That is not kosher by any means. To answer on the very specific questions that have been raised, at one hand, Tushar Gupta, on every other day, he'll sit around on your channel and say that the India bloc is withering away, the Congress's leadership is not being trusted by anybody, this, that. And today he says that the Congress has been leading the opposition parties. Fact of the matter is that the Congress was vociferously against this Constitution Amendment, 131st Amendment, which was essentially a delimitation bill, as were the other parties. The Congress, of course, is the larger party, so it appears to be in lead, but every individual party and their leader said the very same thing, that we've already passed the 128th Amendment, or what we call the Women's Reservation Bill, in September 2023, implemented right now. If you want to change the words of that and you want to do it before the next census is conducted, let's do it before even the next delimitation or next census is conducted. Let's do it right now. TMC said it, Samajwadi Party said it, Congress said it, everybody said it. And so far as the proportional representation point is concerned, the government was just misleading people. And I'll tell you how. Your viewers can look at the draft of the 131st Amendment. They would find that it talks about how the women reservation would be implemented basis the population, and population is to be determined by the census.
No, but Home Minister said that he'll put it in black and white inside the House. Nikhil Jain, did you not see the Home Minister's assurance? Didn't you see the Home Minister's assurance in the House where he said, I'll bring in an amendment where it's written? Why does it not matter? He's the Home Minister of the country saying it in Parliament. You're saying it doesn't matter.
You and I both know that what is written in the bill is what matters, not what a politician says on the floor.
The point is, if this was a sticking point, Nikhil Jain's simple question is that, since you are raising this as a sticking point, that it's nowhere written in the bill, if you were so keen on it, you could have pressed for the Home Minister to bring it in writing.
Why did the Home Minister? No, it's not about writing. You have to have it in the bill. There is a process of law. There is a process of Parliament. You can't.
Mr. Nikhil Jain, I don't think you understand the process of Parliament. Bring an amendment which could have been pressed. It could have been brought into the bill. Do you understand what an amendment is?
1996 it was the BJP that voted.
Do you understand what an amendment is, Mr. Nikhil Jain? An amendment is something that is voted in Parliament and that becomes the law of the country. Much as the 131st Constitutional Amendment was also an amendment, which the special session of Parliament just debated.
Madhav, I know you are a great. No, Madhav, I know you're a great fan of the Prime Minister, but it doesn't.
No, I'm not a fan of the Prime Minister. I'm someone who understands constitutional parliamentary procedure, which you clearly do not.
Student of law. I have a master's in law. Please don't.
No, but do you understand that? Do you understand that if that amendment was brought in, then what you're exactly saying would have happened if the opposition had asked for it?
In the first place, they were holding a special session for this bill, and you're saying that the government is going to do an amendment on the floor of the House. They should have brought it. Let the government.
Why was it not brought in? Okay, I'm taking your point. Sanju Verma, if the government was serious about this 50% in black and white, why didn't they bring it as a proper amendment in the first place? That is Nikhil Jain's question. Respond.
Madhav, first and foremost, calling the Congress party Parjeevi or a parasite is not an abuse. It is showing the mirror to the Congress party. This is the same Rahul Gandhi who told ahead of Lok Sabha 2024, जब नरेंद्र मोदी हार जाएगा ना, भारत की युवा आकर इसको सड़कों पर इसकी पिटाई करेगी, दैट इज कॉल्ड अब्यूजिंग समवन. सो निखिल जैन, डोंट लेक्चर नरेंद्र मोदी. तुम्हारे सर्टिफिकेट की जरूरत नहीं है. But I will answer the moot point. I think Tushar has made this point on umpteen occasions and rightfully so. And I will reinforce. First and foremost, why could a delimitation exercise not take place, say, in 2015 or 2018? Because लोग कहते हैं नरेंद्र मोदी तो 2014 से प्रधानमंत्री हैं. That is because of two things. While the 42nd constitutional amendment of 1976 and while the 84th amendment, there was a 50-year-long freeze. So even if Narendra Modi wanted, he could not have taken the initiative to increase the number of seats from 543 to 700 or 800. पहली बात तो go and read 42nd amendment. दूसरी बात read 84th amendment. Now the second question, why is the BJP not giving 33% reservation on 543? This is a question that has come up repeatedly in every discussion. The limited point is this. I repeat, go and read the 106th amendment, which has inserted articles 330A, 332A, and 334D. These articles in the 106th amendment clearly say that a 33% reservation for women can only happen post delimitation. Hence, the Modi government brought in the 131st amendment to bypass the 106th amendment. The 131st amendment was the only way that higher reservation for women could have taken place without breaking constitutional propriety. So Nikhil Jain, please read the 42nd, 84th, 106th and 128th amendment also, which brought to fruition the 33% reservation quota for women in the first place. The final point I want to say is this, Madhav, without being verbose. The North versus South divide. Amit Shah ji ne keh diya, but मैं repeat कर रही हूँ. For people who are masters in law but maybe lacking common sense. From 129, the seats for Southern India will go up to 195, which means, you have at least a 51% increase.
Okay.
The Home Minister also said, in percentage terms, the portion of southern states will go up from 23.76% to 23.87%. मतलब percentage wise देखिए या absolute numbers के perspective से देखिए.
Okay, but Sanju Verma, I have a simple question. I have a very simple question. In 2023, we all knew this is going to happen, right? When all the parties came together, when the government brought in this legislation, we all knew there's a set of procedures that are going to happen. Census will happen, delimitation will happen. But the larger issue that becomes contentious when you talk about increasing the strength of the House is why that freeze, which has been in effect for the past 50 years, which was brought in during Indira Gandhi's time, which was once again, during Prime Minister Vajpayee's time, extended by another 25 years. If the government wants, it can continue that freeze and avoid this issue of increasing the number of seats. Can it not?
Madhav, please understand. First and foremost, there has been a 50-year-long freeze. That freeze has played spoil sport, and that is the reason why Narendra Modi and his government, despite being in power since 2014, were not in a position to increase the number of seats from 543 to 800 or 850. We are clear on that. The second point I want to make is simply this, that please understand, it was the opposition which agreed to the 106th amendment. It was the opposition which agreed to the 128th amendment and said that pehle census, fir delimitation, fir women's reservation. Now, census 2026 mein pehli phase shuru ho gayi with the enumeration being done by PM Modi. What did Amit Shah say on the floor?
No, but that is what they agreed in 23. They will come out and say, why are you changing the goalpost now? That's what they are arguing.
No, I want to finish that. Nobody's changing
What
the
reason
goalpost.
she will give that Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji freezed for 25 years? What was the reason at that time? What was the reason? I just want to know the reason. And in current situation, what has changed that you are doing that? And what was the reason at that time? Vajpayee government, you were in power. You freeze for 25
Okay,
years.
Sanju, a quick response. There are two other panelists who have not even spoken. I want to quickly go across to them after that. Yeah.
You know what I find absolutely appalling is that कब census हुआ था 1951, 61, 71, 2011. कब delimitation हुआ था 1952, 1963, 1973, 2002. 24 सालों में delimitation नहीं हुआ. 1971 के बाद 2011 के बाद कोई सेंसस स्टडी नहीं हुई ऑन अ नेशनल लेवल. तब आप लोग चुप थे. आपको सब कुछ instant Maggi noodles की तरह चाहिए. It's not going to work that way. And
Okay.
let me tell you one thing. If we wait, what will happen? Census exercise will get completed by end of 2027 or early 2028. So do you think delimitation exercise will get over by 2029? No, it will get over by 2030.
No,
So the women
we certainly can't second guess what a commission like the Delimitation Commission, which is mandated by Constitution, will do. But let me bring in Rashid Kidwai on this. Rashid Kidwai, as somebody who's seen the politics of this play out over quite some time now, over the past 5 decades, that the entire issue of proportions, etc., the government says this is a missed opportunity. Whether big states, small states, southern states, northern states, all the proportionality aspect would have continued, and that would have been a good via media solution to try and avoid the complexities of a delimitation where redistribution as per population would happen, which would obviously bring with itself its own complexities. What are we to expect now? Because the Prime Minister has ended his speech saying that we might have lost this now, but we're not going to stop. We're going to continue fighting for women's empowerment, and that we are going to get more opportunities in the future. A very clear clue being given by the Prime Minister as to what's going to happen.
Yeah. So, Madhav, from the beginning, it was a political ploy. And a political ploy that has, is playing on the party lines. What is the job of opposition? The job of opposition is to oppose and depose the government, block every bill. When I say every bill, and there is a rich history. You look at 64th Amendment, which was about bringing Panchayati Raj in India, Panchayati Raj system. And it was blocked by the opposition, including the BJP, way back in 1989. So therefore, there is a rich history of political parties. When they are in opposition, their conduct is to oppose the government, regardless of how lofty the principles of the particular bill are. So the opposition is not at fault on that count. There is absolute trust deficit. There was no all-party meet was called. The special session was called in the middle of elections. Prime Minister is speaking today and criticizing the Congress. The Congress is not a major player either in Bengal or in Tamil Nadu. So I think politically it is not going to make a major impact. Sanju Verma is right about the process of it. But see, key point in the entire thing, Madhav, is delimitation. How do we negotiate delimitation? And that is where I think the BJP developed a cold feet, and they tried to use this method of clubbing it with women reservation, which of course the opposition was very well conscious of it and blocked it. And Prime Minister could have spoken all this what he said today in a public meeting. He was in Tamil Nadu. He could have gone to Bengal. He could have made the same point.
Actually, he did say some of those points, in Coimbatore at his speech about an hour before that. He did actually mention, to be fair to him, at around 7 to 7:30, I think he spoke. And that, roughly speaking, and these were some of the points, though he did say that I'll elaborate on this further. But, Tushar, the big question now is this, that how does the government take forward the idea of delimitation? Of course, women's empowerment, the Prime Minister has indicated. And this is clearly, with the fact that there are going to be protests, the protests outside Rahul's place, residents this morning, etc. It's clear this is going to become a political focused, issue in coming months, maybe even beyond this election. But what happens to the crucial issue of delimitation? For instance, the quandary for the government would be even your key allies, such as the TDP, are southern states. So they will also have to do certain amount of explaining to their electorate as to how all of this is actually happening on ground.
Madhav, a few technicalities. The 42nd and the 84th Amendment locked the number of seats per state. It did not give a mechanism on how to increase the number of seats in the Lok Sabha for each state. Let's be very clear about this. As of today, the only constitutional framework that exists to increase the Lok Sabha seats for a state through delimitation is Article 81, which specifies population. Only population, nothing else. The 50% proportional increase that Amit Shah was willing to concede on the floor of the parliament would also have required a constitutional amendment, which is why he said that you give me 1 hour, I'll make the change to 131st Amendment, we can have it placed in the table, we can have it circulated amongst the MPs, and then we can debate on it. And that is where the opposition got cold feet. This is where I disagree with Rashid Kidwai ji. The government was going as far as to change the constitutional framework where not population but proportion would become the basis of delimitation. But now that 131st has fallen apart, what happens? The freeze gets over in 2026. The first census that happens after 2026 warrants a Delimitation Commission Act, which can be passed by a simple majority, and that delimitation will happen between states, reallotment of seats, redistribution of seats, redrawing of seats, purely and purely on the basis of population. This is what happens to delimitation. Delimitation is not going to stop because 131st stop. It's anyway there. It's a part of our constitution. The freeze gets over this year.
But that's the question. Will the government want to increase that freeze or not? But let me bring in fact, Vandana Sinha on this. When the Prime Minister says that regional parties are the ones who are going to lose out at the expense of the Congress party by following its lead as far as the opposition to this particular set of bills are concerned. Do you agree with that? Vandana Sinha.
Madhav, what I feel that PM Modi was not managed to mislead that women of this country in the parliament. So again he did it today. Again he tried to mislead. He used the word insult. I think the biggest insult of the women of this country is to combine this delimitation with this women reservation bill. Because the intention was very clear, it was never for the women reservation bill. Otherwise, they could have been implemented in 2023 only. But now they are saying that because they wanted to implement the two only this delimitation and to implement this tukde wala bill. So that was the only intention of PM Modi. Otherwise, an anti-women party, how they can think about the women empowerment? He has never done anything for the Manipur. He has never done anything for the Hadras. Then how could we expect from the PM Modi to do something for the women empowerment? If the intention was that, they would have been given this 33% reservation on 543 seats. Because I feel that BJP is very convenient to come and they say about it cannot be done on these 543 seats. But if the intention was there, it could have been done. Initially we could do that, and then later on we can see if that delimitation can be done without the census, if it can be done on the 2011 census, then why they cannot implement this women reservation seat on 543, 33%? They always, PM Modi always says 50% हमारी महिलाएं, 50% महिलाएं, आप 50% रिजर्वेशन दो. हम भी पार्लियामेंट में जाएंगे, हम यहाँ की जगह हम पार्लियामेंट में महिलाओं के लिए
तो यहाँ हो नहीं रहा. 50% is, I mean, it's an idealistic situation, but I think that will be very difficult to navigate. But Sanju Verma, respond to that charge that if you can bring it in 2011 now, why was this not done earlier? And why was it not done on 543 itself? That's the question they are asking you.
I have already explained. Please read the 106th Amendment and the amendments to Article 343D, 330, 331, 332, and you will know why it was not done earlier. And there was a freeze by the 84th and 42nd Amendment. I want to move beyond technicalities. And I'm very glad about one thing that the Aam Aadmi Party did. This debate should not be limited to technicalities. Finally, it is a political debate. And she openly made it political by saying, Pradhan Mantri Narendra Modi ne mahilaon ke liye kuch kiya nahi, it is an anti-women party. I want to very quickly give some statistics. Out of 57 crore Jan Dhan bank accounts, more than 59% belong to women. Out of more than 48 crore Mudra Yojana accounts, more than 67% belong to women. 100% beneficiaries of Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, women. 100% beneficiaries of Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana, women. Today, there are more than 80% women beneficiaries of Prime Minister Modi's Stand Up India initiative. Today, there are more than 3 crore drone Didis and Lakhpati Didis. अभी तो और आगे बढ़ते हैं. Nirmala Sitharaman is yet to break Morarji Desai's record, but in terms of giving consecutively the highest number of budgets, in terms of presenting, she has exceeded Morarji Desai's track record.
All right.
Allowing NCC cadets, especially women, to be recruited on a war footing, ye kisne kiya? Modi sarkar ne kiya, but finally...
I don't want this debate, Sanju Verma, with due respect, I don't want this debate to go into who has done what for women. That will be, taking this debate very far. Let's stick to the issue at hand, which is the women's bill, and what the Prime Minister has just said, taking the opposition to the cleaners. But one of the larger points, Rashid Kidwai, I'm going to bring in Nikhil Jain also on this, is the larger issue that Prime Minister refers to as Congress being something that is, proving to be very, very disastrous for regional parties, saying that in its hurry to oppose the government, it has also forgotten the interest of regional parties, which will suffer as a consequence of this particular vote that they have done. And he's pointed out, he's taken the names of the TMC, the DMK, amongst others, even Samajwadi Party. How do you look at that, Rashid Kidwai?
I mean, Madhav, this is a political rhetoric. Someone can turn around and say the same thing about the BJP. So national political parties are always, as allies and opponents, are always, working against, the interests of the regional parties. This is a very feature of Indian democracy. The key point here is that Mr. Modi is trying to corner, attack the Congress when Congress is not a player in the remaining part of elections, or in Uttar Pradesh when next round of elections is there. So therefore, Mr. Modi is trying to disassociate the Congress with Samajwadi Party and DMK and Trinamool, which is very, tall order given the kind of political divide we have. The simple thing, a lot has been said about 50%, etc. The Home Minister should have done it before. All party meet, not holding the special session during the midst of elections, and having convening all party meet and coming up with this. This was very doable thing. But the government, Madhav, in my mind, was very clear. They wanted to score a point, and they want to see this script is ready, not for just for this round of election, but for
I'm
coming
going to take your
election.
question on what the government should have done to the other panelists in just a minute. But Rashid Gidwal, let me ask you this question. Because this statement of the Prime Minister comes amidst the friction we've seen, particularly in the state of Tamil Nadu, where there was a huge amount of issues, whether it's related to distribution of tickets or statements coming in from regional leaders over there. There's not even been a joint rally yet of Rahul Gandhi and Stalin that at least I've seen in this campaign. I don't know if you have. But, all of these are raising some serious questions about whether all is well within the alliance.
Yeah, so this 4th of May, there is no point just debating. 4th of May will determine what Prime Minister tried to do. Will it succeed or it boomeranged?
Okay, 4th of May will be where we'll see whether it's succeeded or boomeranged is an important question. But even in the state of West Bengal, Shubhankar, Rahul Gandhi goes there, he cites the various cases of corruption against the TMC.
Yeah.
Is all really well within the India alliance is a moot question at this point.
Well, Madhav, let me put it aside. First of all, I just want to understand one confusion. I don't know, maybe there are my other literate friends sitting over here, including Sanju Verma, can enlighten me on this. One thing is there, see, this means that all this thing, the Wisden reservation followed with the delimitation, it's all happening on the basis of the 2011 census. So, is the names, the population that we lost in SIR in Bengal, those are calculated, those are in the counting of 2011 or not? That is why, when we talk about delimitation and women reservation. But when in voting, they don't matter. So is it all about the convenience to BJP, or how exactly you want to make it, how is it actually logical? You leave some people out, while in SIR, you say you just rob them of their voting rights, but while counting, while having the population, they are there.
Okay.
So
let me
this
put
is all
this
like
question.
meetha meetha gab gab, kadwa kadwa thutu situation.
I'm accepting your point. I'm accepting your point, and I'm taking it across to Tushar. And Tushar, I will ask this question in a slightly different manner as well. Whatever the contentions are about SIR, opposition has every right to raise its own issues, but I'm not going to get into that. But one important point is this, that if there is one party that actually has female representatives amongst the elected leaders, it is the TMC. And therefore, there is this contention coming out from TMC side that this is all directly aimed for the West Bengal election, because we don't see such parliament special sessions normally during the conduct of assembly elections anywhere in the country. That's normally not the practice, at least from what I gather. Tushar.
Okay, to first answer Shubhankar's question. Shubhankar ji, 18 साल के बच्चे, 18 साल से नीचे के जो लोग होते हैं वो वोट नहीं करते, तो वो एसआईआर में नहीं आते उस लिस्ट में, तो क्या उनको गिनना बंद कर दे क्या पॉपुलेशन में? एसआईआर में इलेक्टर्स होते हैं और सेंसस में पॉपुलेशन होती है, दोनों में बहुत फर्क होता है, पहले इस फर्क को समझिए. दूसरी चीज, माधव, यू आर राइट, आई थिंक टीएमसी इज वन ऑफ दोज रीजनल पार्टीज दैट आर वेरी वेरी वोकल अबाउट द women representation, that take women representation very very seriously, and that is also one party that has demeaned, discarded the Congress party every single time. You look at what they did to them in 2024 elections. They announced the 42 candidates to the Lok Sabha, and Mamata Banerjee was very clear that I am not interested in having an alliance with Rahul Gandhi, who's a liability. It's that simple. And that is what surprises me. Mamata Banerjee's TMC would have benefited with more representation in the parliament. People like Shubhankar Bhattacharya would also agree that the women of Bengal, be it from TMC, be it from BJP, be it from any party, would have benefited with more representation from Bengal in the parliament, with which is why I'm surprised that why would parties like TMC, Samajwadi, even the Aam Aadmi Party for that matter, they have burned their hands once after allying with the Congress in Delhi, and they have not allied with them since. Why would they listen to a party like Congress or even follow their footsteps on a bill as critical as this?
Nikhil Jain, you want to answer that question? Because, this is a question that keeps coming up in election after election, whether it's Bihar, whether it's the recent kind of controversies we saw in Tamil Nadu, or even in Maharashtra, that it's Congress that has been pulling down the India Alliance in multiple states.
Madhav, I think this entire argument that the Congress led the other opposition parties into making decisions that they shouldn't have made and that they were not politically astute and the Congress threw them into the well, this honestly takes away from the agency of those parties. What are we saying? Are we saying that Mamata Banerjee, Akhilesh Yadav, MK Stalin, all of these people are absolute fools and they will go and do around what is political suicide just because the Congress told them to do so? That's an absolutely rubbish argument to make. And so far as this point about Congress being disastrous to regional parties is concerned, let me remind my friends from the BJP, it was not the Congress that asked Nitish Kumar to step down from the Chief Minister's post, or that demoted Eknath Shinde from the post of the Chief Minister, or that first used the BJD and then hung them out to dry, or that used the YSRCP and then hung them out to dry, or the fate that the SAD had to suffer. Every one of us on the panel actually knows that if there is one party that is out to kill every single regional party, it is the BJP and not the Congress. If anything, we've many times criticized that the Congress has not been able to hold its ground as firmly as it should while during alliance talks with its other India alliance partners. Also, one very important point, Sanju Verma, the BJP spokesperson, keeps on spreading this canard that there was a 50-year freeze. First of all, there was no 50-year freeze, there was a 25-year freeze by Prime Minister Indira Gandhi first, and then a later 25-year freeze by Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. And what that freeze was, it was a simple constitution amendment which could have been moved, which could have been undone by yet another constitution amendment like the government was moving. And when you pass the 106th Amendment Bill, the Women Reservation Bill of 2023, it was mentioned that it would come into effect after the delimitation which is conducted after the census of 2026. Now the government wanted to amend that and said, no, nothing doing, just the delimitation, not the delimitation after the census.
Okay.
When you can make an amendment like that to 106th Amendment, why can you simply not make an amendment? Forget delimitation, forget census. We are going to implement women reservation right now, right away. Women will sit in the parliament.
Sanju Verma, why not another freeze? Why not another constitutional amendment? Answer, Nikhil Jain. Once again, we come back to the same question.
Madhav, I'm completely tired of listening to Nikhil Jain's absolutely pathetic logic. I said 50-year freeze. Why the 42nd and 84th Amendment? Everybody knows it's 25 plus 25 is 50. Nikhil Jain, you clearly showcase common sense is not common. But I will come to the moot point, Madhav, and that is this. BJP has completely disowned or treated unfairly its alliance partners. Arey BJP or alliance partners par bhashan dena band karo. 1998, a man called Sitaram Kesri was locked in the toilet by Sonia Gandhi and she declared herself the Congress president. Fir yaad dilati hu. The dead body of PV Narasimha Rao was not allowed into AICC headquarters. He was not given even his last rites were not performed with dignity thanks to Sonia Gandhi. Fir yaad dilati hu. Rahul Gandhi talks about Dalits. Babu Jagjeevan Ram was India's defense minister. His legacy was completely obliterated by whom? By Sonia Gandhi. Now let me give you another example. 1 minute. B.R. Ambedkar is an anti-national. You should not be attending his last rites was a letter written by Nehru to the then president Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Ambedkar की legacy की धज्जियां उड़ाई, बाबू जगजीवन राम की legacy की धज्जियां उड़ाई, and you're lecturing the BJP, Nikhil Jain.
Okay.
First go and look at your own backyard.
Before I go across to Nikhil Jain, I want Rashid Kidwai to come in on this because Rashid Kidwai has actually covered some of those events that you mentioned, particularly the Sitaram Kesri instance. And I think there's a slightly different version that I've heard from what Sanju Verma said. Rashid Kidwai, you want to set the record on straight?
Yes, I mean, yes, the event did take place, but it was not, Sonia Gandhi was not present. It happened in front of, Manmohan Singh and Pranab Mukherjee and all those people, stalwarts who were associates of Sitaram Kesri. But that was the intra-party matter. And to say that, the Congress forgot about Babu Jagjeevan Ram, Bida Kumar was made speaker when UPA was in power. So every political party, somebody can turn around and say what happened to, LK Advani during Mr. Modi, or Murli Manohar Joshi, or Yashwant Sinha and several others. I'm saying these are intra-party things. We cannot equate them with one case with another. political point is, if government of the day was serious, they could have done. There's still time. The government knew that they don't have 360, they don't have 2/3 majority. They brought in with political intent, and this will go on.
Okay.
We should
I think,
wait for
Tushar,
it
we
to come
must
up.
address that issue because, you know, there's a lot that could have been done. All party meetings could have been called. There were some consultations, but they were very casual consultations, as a word coming in from opposition parties. And if the government was serious, it could have brought in the legislation, taken the feedback and brought it in. We've seen that it is possible in 2023, even though everyone may talk about the lack of trust, the atmosphere of distrust, etc., trust deficit, etc. It is possible if the government had the intention, is what Rashid Kidwai is saying. Your response?
Look, the single biggest hurdle to delimitation was that the southern states used to complain that we would be penalized for actually following the population control model. The government said we are going for a 50% proportional increase, which would have changed the structure of the constitution. The southern states disagreed to it. Now the panelists are saying, why do you need delimitation? Why not? You have constituencies where there are 50,000 electors, and then you have constituencies where you have 37 lakh electors. How can this variance continue to exist? You have certain states that are underrepresented. You have certain states that are overrepresented. In Kerala, one MP on average represents 16 lakh people. In Tamil Nadu, 18 lakh, but somehow Karnataka, that jumps to 20 lakh. In UP, it jumps to 26 lakh. How is this variance acceptable in the long run? The PM also said that this entire rationalization of constituencies is very, very important. There needs to be some degree of representation that also aligns with the people interest. You want to say that the population of this country is 150 crore people. There are 100 crore electors, but let's have 543 MPs, even if it means one MP represents 40 lakh people in the highest represented constituencies. How does it make sense? Why are we running away from the fact that we need more MPs?
But that 50% quota would have done just that, Tushar. That's the whole point.
Exactly, that is what I'm saying. The Home Minister was agreeing to the 50% quota. Now, the opposition parties need to explain why were they against it.
Reservation in
DMK wanted 50% more seats. They were getting it. Then why do you oppose it?
Why oppose it? Respond, Nikhil Jain.
Madhav, first of all, a very simple fact for your viewers, that if indeed the seats would have been increased in equal proportion, the variance that Tushar is talking about would have remained. The only thing would be that right now you have 20 lakh people, on an average 20 lakh people being represented by one MP in Tamil Nadu and 30 lakh in Bihar. Later on, it would have gone down to 12 lakh in Tamil Nadu and 20 lakhs in Bihar. The variance would have remained, number one. Number two, when the government says that, Amit Shah says that within an hour, I'll bring the amendment to it. Very well. Why did he not bring the amendment? Why did the speaker put the motion to vote? The speaker could have very well waited for Amit Shah to bring in that amendment.
Please.
And
Nikhil Jain, please. Did you see that? Did you see it live? The whole country has seen what happened live.
This is the same government. Let's not.
1 second, Nikhil Jain, please. Before you go further, what was the response from the opposition? 1 second. Answer me now. If you saw that debate live, please tell me what was the opposition's response when the Home Minister made that offer? What did they say? What did Mr. K.C. Venugopal say?
Madhav, some leader in the opposition saying something in the middle of it.
Some leader saying something. He's the General Secretary Organization of the Congress Party. Mr. Rahul Gandhi's aide. He's not some leader. He very specifically said, you give this in writing and promise us you will delink the delimitation and the women's reservation issue. So the point is that when the government made that offer, as Tushar is saying, that offer was not accepted by opposition.
That's the whole point. Why was delimitation and women's reservation linked?
No, just now it was some leader saying something, and now that is the exact argument.
That is the entire point. The entire opposition
Nikhil Jain,
kept on
please.
saying you delink delimitation from this. We will pass it right now.
Please,
in fact, the TMC went to the
this is the least I would have expected is in such a crucial decision. Such a crucial debate, you would have seen what has happened and then argued the case. But let me bring in Vandana Sinha. Vandana Sinha, I'm sorry you've not gotten much chance to speak, but I will ask you this. If the BJP and the government says that we're going to continue to campaign on this, it's going to be an issue beyond just these current set of state elections. This is an issue on which the BJP is clearly going to campaign in upcoming elections, whichever state will be. States such as Gujarat, for instance, where your party, is going to be contesting. What's going to be the strategy to counter the BJP on ground?
See, because I think Narendra Modi is not able to manage to fool the women of this country. So again, I'm sure that this protest and all, because this is BJP versus BJP. Because this is only BJP. Because this is only BJP who can bring this women reservation right now. But now, because they just wanted to fool the women of this country, they are just wanted to mislead the entire women that it cannot be done. But it was done in 2024 itself. Why, who is
23.
stopping? Who is stopping PM Modi? They can come and they can implement this reservation because they wanted, because this they wanted for this delimitation. No, they should not have been linked it.
Okay.
It's just an insult. It's just a misleading. It's nothing
All right.
else.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Sanju Verma, Tushar Gupta, Nikhil Jain, Vadnath Sinha, Tariq Khan, as well as Rashid Kidwa and Shubhankar Bhattacharya. I'd like to thank all of you. But the Prime Minister's statement makes one thing quite clear, that this is going to be an issue that's going to be in the political discourse for quite some time. And clear hints coming in that it's not just as far as these assembly elections are concerned, but going forward as well, it's an issue on which the BJP is clearly going to be campaigning on and raising from time to time. Thanks so much for joining us this evening.